All my experiences before never felt scary. However, my scariest experience was when I actually left and came back, because obviously now there's a differentiation in my brain of this is right and this is wrong. So this day, I can't remember where I was going, probably somewhere random. I was going out with my sister, right? She literally sat beside me. She's always lived in Nigeria as well. There was this keke napep right in front of us. Obviously, I wasn't in the keke napep, but essentially this baby's head just came out of the keke napep. You could see someone holding the child. I don't know if she had multiple kids or whatever, but I kid you not, for about maybe 5 or 10 minutes on that road just going, the child's head was literally outside the keke napep. Obviously, in my mind, I'm like, this child, like I was filming, I was trying to get the driver, move closer, let's tell them and everything. And my sister was just like, whoa, na so they run am jare. And obviously, that sounds bizarre, but a year and a half ago, before I left, what's my business? What's it concern me? Made the child come out. I think there's a Nigerian thing where you don't care. Everybody's just, sharp. Before you go and talk now, they'll slap you or they'll be cussing. You get everybody, there's this thing of I don't care, mind my business, because you don't know how the other person is going to react. Nigerians are fight you anyway. I can't judge the mother and say she's a horrible person or whatever, because damn, she could be coming from a very hard job. She could have been up since 4 a.m. knowing Lagos traffic and all of that. But that was very scary for me, because I just kept thinking and obviously Okada, piao, 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 going close and everything, and no one thought to say, hey. And me that was trying to get the people around me to move, they were just, I beg, free us.
Right after my final exam in school, came back home, my parents were upstairs, heard a loud bang outside of the house, came outside of the house, asked the gate man to look at what was going on outside, and I heard another bang, and then I heard my mom and my sister, they were upstairs, the balcony. I heard them screaming. I went back upstairs into the house, ran up there, and from there I saw the whole thing that happened. Our neighbor was getting robbed, or I wouldn't say robbed. It seemed like sort of an assassination. The bad guys came in all black clothing. It was a little late. It was 7 o'clock. I still remember the program that was playing on TV that I was watching downstairs was Moments with Mo. I ran upstairs to go see what was going on. So the loud bang I heard was the car running into the gate. By the time I got upstairs, they shot the gate man. My mom was like, "Look, ile, lie down inside our house." Anyway, we saw the whole thing happen. There were some other guys in the car. They came out of the car. They had big ass guns, but at the end of the whole thing, it lasted for I think 15 minutes. Really scary 15 minutes. The guys just drove off. They drove like nothing happened. It was scariest, and we had gunshots back and forth. People were screaming. There was commotion. There was panic. While this whole thing was going on, we saw an army man in his army clothing walking and he walked right past in front of the house and didn't do anything. So we ran outside. We was like, what happened? But what you shoot up here? We went into our neighbor's house. I don't know what made us do it, But we went into the neighbor's house. We found one of the guards, because I think they used to have 4 guards. The other guards were in the gutter. We're screaming, who's here, blah, blah, blah. The man was just groaning, and he had been shot. There was blood all over the ground. So I was like, geez, I'd never experienced something like that in my life before. Myself and my brother came out, and we're like, the man is still breathing, he's still alive. We have to help this man. So we ran back into the house, told my mom we're going to do it. My mom was like, what? We'll rush him to the nearest hospital or whatever. It was just adrenaline. We just ran. Everything was going so fast. We put him into the car, and we thought about the closest hospital to the house, which should have been 4 minutes drive. So we thought, oh, for sure, it's still breathing, it's fine, it was groaning, we'll save this man's life. As we're going to the hospital, we came across a police convoy of policemen in the car. Half of my body was outside of the car, because the man was really tall when he took the whole back seat. My brother was driving the car, and half of my body was outside. The policemen didn't ask us what happened. We're like, oh, robbery. And they just drove off like nothing happened. Second time we saw security operatives not doing anything. We drove to the hospital really fast. Took one way into the hospital. Going to the hospital, people saw us driving that fast from like the petrol station right by the hospital. So they came up there and they saw what was happening, and people were like, next thing there was a lot of people. We called out the doctor. Doctor said, "Oh, we can't take the man here." He said the only people that can treat gunshot wounds in Nigeria are federal hospitals, like teaching hospitals. So I was like, so you have to go to, this was in IB in Ibadan. We had to go to UCH. UCH was like probably like a 20 minutes drive from where we were. At this point, I was like, just do something. Like, just do, like, you can't tell me you're going to let this man die. Just do something. Man was like, I can't do anything. I can't touch it. They'll come. I'm like, just do something. Like, you took an oath. Like, just do something. So the man said, okay. And people started, screaming and saying, hey, Shenko, come now, So he put a bandage over the guy, like one bandage, and he said, this is all I can do. You guys have to go now. You have to leave. So we left. We drove one way, and, we got to, like, Mokola, if you know Ibadan, like, we're close to UCH. We got almost to the front of UCH and we ran over a massive stone and the car just stopped working. My gate man was in front car with me and he was saying, just keep praying. Like, and the man kept on praying, like, you're going to make it, and you're cool, things like that. I came down on the road. I had no footwear on, like barefooted. I got on the road. All the keke napep started. Cars were, I was like, stop, like we're almost right there, right? Cars were swerving, nobody wanted to stop. At the end of the day, I ended up grabbing the keke napep and we forcefully, the guys that were inside the car jumped out thinking we're robbers. Any amount of money that you want keke napep, will just take us into the hospital. We need to save this man's life. Took him to the car, we transferred the man with blood. Like I could see his bones coming out. Blood just gushing out. It was crazy. It's the craziest thing I ever experienced. Now, you would think that we're at the hospital. Everything is done. UCH is supposed to be like the biggest teaching hospital in West Africa or something at the time, The emergency place, we got there, jumped right out again, barefooted, ran into the hospital. We need to save this man's life, gunshot wound. I saw doctors at the emergency unit and I was like, can someone help us? And the doctor was like smiling right at me and he said, what's the story? I was like, what? Like there's someone dying in the car. Like we need to get him out and we need to save this man's life. He said, no, tell us what happened. What was the story? I was like, wait, how does this help save this man's life? So I started saying, this is what happened, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, can someone help him? So my brother got impatient and came into I was like, what the hell is going on? Was screaming and whatever. And he was like, intern, Kule, go and bring the stretcher. I was like, what? At the end of the day, after they heard the story, they all went their way. We had to help bring the man on top of the stretcher, roll them into the hospital, and then we had to start writing requisitions of where we were going to pay. While this man was sitting just groaning, like he was losing blood and, he felt like, we could see, like he was still speaking, At the end of the day, luckily, somehow I had my wallet with me. We paid in like 4 different places. In the space of like 30 minutes, like we all spread each other out. Everybody go pay, right? They said we have to pay before they can treat this man. When we came back, they moved him into the operating room. And believe you, or believe me, they didn't have enough people working at the emergency. We had to put on gloves. And we're helping. They didn't, also, UCH didn't have, I don't know what the medical term is or what they used to stop gunshot wounds. This was supposed to be like one of the biggest hospitals in Nigeria. They didn't have what they were going to use to stop gunshot wounds. So we put bandage and it was big. Like we're helping roll the bandage over this man's leg inside the operating room. As we're rolling it, the blood kept on coming out. Kept on pumping. And the man was still talking. I was still speaking. So like, this guy's a fighter, he's going to survive, whatever it is. He was still speaking and he was groaning. We thought that we had saved this man. By the time we were still living, the man even said, I remember his words, Eshegon. Thank you for saving my life, And I was like, wow. Like, where do I even begin to unpack what just happened? I couldn't sleep. Like, to even start with, I went back into the house. We're like, we need new locks. Like, what if those guys saw us helping this man, were involved? So many things was going through. So I didn't sleep all night. The next morning, the landlords association came into the house after hearing what happened, and they wanted to come and greet us like heroes. One of the landlords said, "Oh, you guys did your best." And I was like, "What do you mean? We did our best?" Like, "Oh, like the man died. He passed." I was like, "What?" Like, he passed. So that was the point it hit me that, whatever you do, like all the efforts, the all running around, life does not mean a thing in Nigeria.
There was actually one time when I fell ill and I literally thought I was going to die. When I was younger, like, I used to fall sick a lot. But then there was this one time where I fell ill. They took me to the hospital that they normally take me to, or they would normally take me to when I was sick. And then I realized that I was throwing up. What happened is that, let's say I'm okay now, then I start to feel nauseous, then I throw up. Then they give me a sedative, I sleep off, I wake up, I throw up again. Then they'll give me another sedative, I'll sleep off, I'll wake up, and I'll vomit again. And I think all that while they were like passing drips through me. At that moment, it's like they didn't know what was wrong with me, and they didn't have the adequate equipment to detect what was wrong with me. So even my parents were like already panicking, and they're like, "What's going on?" And even me, like, I just knew that I wasn't getting treated. And you know how as a human being, you know your body, no matter how young you are, like, you know your body, you know whether you're feeling better or not, you know whether the treatment you're giving you is working, like, you just know your body. Like, so I tried to explain to them, and look, that I'm not feeling fine, like, whatever you're giving me is not working for me, I'm just throwing up, I'm sick. It wasn't until I started vomiting like this yellow liquid thing, like I was retching, I was just vomiting it, and my brother was like, "Whoa," because I think my brother was also sick or something, and he's like, "Something is wrong here, like, you guys, we need to do something about this girl, or else she's going to die, like, for real." So I think my parents came and they had to like move me to another hospital. And in this hospital, we were even complaining like, "Oh, why would you take her away? Like, we're treating her." And they're like, "No, you're not treating her. She's only falling even sicker." And I think I remember passing out. Like, I remember the moments where they took me out of the hospital ward. I blanked out. I remember being put into the car. I blanked out again, and then I wake up. I'm in a whole different hospital. So like they had to even called, I think, one of our reverends. He came and he prayed for me, and they had to like give me some medicine and some drips. So it's like the new hospital they took me to, those ones actually knew what was wrong with me, and they started treating me for it then and there. So I'm like, imagine if my parents couldn't afford, taking me to a different hospital and paying, because this hospital was on the island, right? I mean, I knew that there was a lot of money involved. So imagine them like not being able to cough out that much money and say, "You know what, admit this girl, figure out what's wrong with her." Like, I could have just died, because I was already passing out. Like, I fainted, I was gone, I was sick. Like, if you had seen me, I was emaciated. Like, that was really, really scary for me. And I'm like, I cannot even imagine being on the opposite side of things. Like, imagine me watching my own child wash away and die in my front like that.
Scariest experience I ever had in Nigeria. I wouldn't say it's one experience. I've been through some shitty experiences in Nigeria, like, that were legit scary. But like I said, it was just so easy to adapt and get used to everything. At the end of the day, everything is just cruise, everything is banned. But I would say for me, what was really scary about living in Nigeria wasn't one experience. It was an everyday fear, which I felt. A fear for my life, a fear for my security, a fear for my belongings. And it was mostly due to the fact of, I would say, when you're seemingly doing well in Nigeria, when you seem to have it together, I mean, you're living a good life, you have a good job or a good business, you have the means, you drive a good car, you live in a nice place, you tend to be a target for a lot of stuff. First of all, you tend to be a target for people who want to extort you or bill you or tax you. You tend to be a target for armed robbers. You tend to be a potential target for kidnappers. You tend to be a target for police harassment. You tend to be a target for traffic robbery, which is rampant in Nigeria. So I'll just say, people thinking that you're successful, that was it for me. I wouldn't say I was successful. I was okay, but the fact that I seemed successful made me a target, and you could feel it around you. Like, you could hear people saying things about you, even in your neighborhood. There were a lot of rumors that flew around when I was living in Scarier about me. We were not true, but I knew that, hey, this thing was bringing a lot of heat, a lot of eyeballs to me and all of that. So I'd say it was just that constant fear. Trust me, it's not a good feeling when you're always watching your back, and that's something I had to do every day in Nigeria. You had to be 2 steps ahead. You had to lock your gates, lock your cars. You had to be vigilant in traffic, look left and right. Like, it was a lot. It's stressful.